This is an OTF, and that's short for out the front automatic knife. If you're not a knife nerd like I am, you've probably seen a few of these in movies like They're sleek, fast, and dangerous looking, but they all share one quirk that drives us knife nerds crazy. You hear that? That right there is called blade play. It's the price you pay for having this kind of mechanism, and every OTF has it. At least, that's what I thought. Because somewhere out there's one that doesn't, and this is that knife. Before we get to how this knife pretty much changed everything, we actually have to rewind a little bit. So automatic knives have been around for more than a century. For a lot of that time though, they all opened out the side. Think Italian stilettos and old school switchblades all snapping open sideways. The OTF design that we have now came much later and it looked like the future, but it did come at a certain cost. We had more complex parts, tighter tolerances, and OTFs have gotten a reputation for being a little finicky at times. By the late 20th century, American knife makers had pushed the OTF design forward. But even with all that innovation, every single OTF still shared that one quirk, that little bit of blade play when the blade is completely locked out. And for many years, every knife maker kind of accepted it as the price you pay for having an OTF. This was just something that nobody else had thought to take care of, and we just kind of learned to live with it, except for one guy.
How did the Deadlock come to be, and what was the thought process behind the design?
At the time this is probably 12, 13 years ago, my dad and I were designing for Kershaw, and they were getting into automatics at that time, and they asked us, hey, it'd be really cool if you design an OTF. My dad started thinking, okay, well, if we're gonna make an OTF, it needs to be different, it needs to be cool, it needs to have something interesting about it. And that was his initial concept was, okay, let's solve the problem of no blade play. It took a long time. He came up with an original concept that didn't work. And by the time we finished that prototype, Kershaw was like, I don't think we want to make autos anymore.
Oh, man.
So we shelved the whole project. And then years later, we decided, okay, we think this is still a cool idea and a great thing to accomplish. So we started working on it again, and then that's where the Deadlock came about.
Cool. So you were kind of trying to solve one thing.
That's right. That was the focus, was just no blade play.
So that right there is Gavin Hawk. He and his dad, Grant, are, in my opinion, some of the most inventive minds in modern knife making. His father, Grant, started making knives back in the 90s in a small mining town called Idaho City, and later on, Gavin joined him. What I think makes the Hawks such a prominent force in the world of pocket knives is that they weren't out there just chasing trends, they were chasing ideas. And instead of making another knife design with a liner lock or a frame lock, they wanted to push the boundaries on what a knife locking mechanism could look like. For them, every knife design was a thought experiment, and one of those thought experiments is this knife right here, the legendary Deadlock. For many years, this knife, the Deadlock, was my dream knife, my Grail, my white whale, a knife that I never thought I would own until Blade Show West. Now, I was well aware that the Hawks were going to be at Blade Show West. I had already done a little bit of research, and in my mind, I was already toying with the idea of, do I pull the trigger? Do I wait? Because the truth of it is, these Deadlocks aren't cheap, right? They're fairly expensive knives, rightfully so. So I kind of had an idea in mind. I went to Blade Show West with my friend Michael Jarvis of Auxiliary Manufacturing, and like some kind of cosmic joke, Hawk Knives was 2 booths down from ours. So, of course, the doors opened. I saw a mad rush of people go to his table, and I kind of waited it out. And by the time the crowd kind of dissipated, I went over to his table, and somehow, to my surprise, there was still 3 Deadlocks left. And I bought mine. I bought my Grail, and I was over the moon about it. And after I purchased it, I wanted to interview Gavin to learn a little bit more about the history of the Deadlock. And after we spoke, it kind of hit me that this Deadlock isn't about just removing rattle for an OTF. To me, it's about a father and son who chose to not accept good enough. They wanted to push the boundaries of what it would look like to dream up this knife design that maybe nobody had ever thought to tackle. And in my eyes, that made this knife purchase that much more special. And now that the rush of Blade Show has gone away, that post-Grail excitement over this deadlock is still very much alive. I've carried it every single day since I got it, and I think that's what I love about knives like this. They're not just tools, they're reminders of what happens when somebody cares enough to chase a detail that nobody ever thought to. That relentless curiosity and that need for improvement is all very evident in this knife design. And every time I carry this knife, I am reminded that craftsmanship isn't just about steels and tolerances. It's about people who care enough to leave something behind that inspires us years later. So that is the story of the Deadlock. A massive thank you to Gavin Hawk for some of his time at Blade Show West. Again, I am over the moon with mine, and I was really looking forward to sharing this story with you guys. So if you enjoyed it, let me know by subscribing and hitting the like button. Drop a comment down below if you own a Deadlock, if you ever wanted one, or if you have a different Hawk Knives design that you just can't seem to get out of your pocket. If this is your first time hearing about Hawk Knives, I'm gonna go ahead and link all their stuff below as well so you can check them out. Definitely recommend it. Outside of the Deadlock, there's a lot of cool knife designs like the Talon and the brand new Nano-Cut. So I'll have that all linked down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next knife storytelling video.